What's going on, everybody? Good late afternoon, or maybe early evening for some of you by now. Hope you guys are doing well, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Bryce Cabeldue in this video. Usually I try to get this video up a little bit early. This is a couple hours later in the day than I like to get up the tape video, but had some stuff come up, had some stuff going on, and couldn't get to it until now. But going to go ahead and do it now. I'm only going to do one game because, again, we're in the 6th round now. I don't know if I feel the need to nitpick about the stuff that isn't so great with him when, again, I want to stress this. The only expectation that he can reasonably have is that he makes the team. This is a guy who should not play at all in 2025 and quite possibly 2026, and maybe he never really plays ever. His job is to be good enough to be on the roster. So I want to focus in on one of the best games of his career. It was last year. Let me go ahead and actually put that in here just for completionist sake. Week 5 versus the TCU Horned Frogs. This was a game Kansas lost, actually, but wasn't really because of Cabeldue. Cabeldue, according to PFF, played one of the best games of his career, 93.1 overall grade, almost a 90 pass block grade, and a 91.6 run block grade. No penalties, no pressures allowed according to their scale. And this was on 73 snaps. And the interesting thing is, if you watch this game, he is mostly playing left tackle, but there are, I'd say, more than 15 snaps where he's a right tackle. So he is jumping back and forth throughout this game, and he's still not letting much of anything up. So it was a really good game for him. And I think it's a good game to highlight as we're trying to understand what this guy might be able to do. So we're going to talk about this game. Please like this video if you haven't already. Click the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. All right. So 41 pass plays, 32 run plays. So good mix. And the action picks up early in the first quarter. There's a play where a defensive back is blitzing over on his side, and I thought he displayed good lateral agility to get to the outside. Obviously, when you have a tackle picking up a blitzing defensive back, there can be issues because the defensive back is going to be more agile than you, and he's going to be faster than you, but I thought he did a good job sliding outside to get out there. Next play after that, he did a good job guiding the edge rusher into slipping and getting upfield on a draw play. At first, it looked like he was giving up his outside shoulder, but it was a draw play, and obviously he knows that. So he just kind of lets the edge get too far upfield to affect the play and then slip trying to get back into it, and he just kind of positions his body in a place where the defender is going to have to go through him to get to the ball carrier on the play. Next play after that, quality pass set, guides rusher into an arc away from the quarterback. He is giving up ground, of course. I mean, the momentum of the rusher alone is going to allow him to get some movement, but the arc is not going to interfere with the quarterback. Play after that, though, I thought that this was the first time I really saw him on the move. He climbed up to the linebacker to throw a block, and it was choppy. He looked uncomfortable, and then he completely whiffed on the linebacker. He got too far upfield, it looked like, and then tried to recover, but he couldn't quite get the block, and it just looks like an ugly whiff. The linebacker was too late to affect the play meaningfully, but it did not look like a good rep for him. That was the first not-so-great rep that I noticed. A few minutes later, we got pulls to help double the defensive tackle, minimally effective in affecting the play. It was one of those things where he just kind of like lightly shoved his arms, I think, while he was running to try to get in front of him, but he couldn't quite get in front of him, so he was just kind of, like, it didn't really matter that much, but he was just, seemed like he didn't really impact the play very much. Play after that, I thought he did a good job picking up an inside rush and redirecting it into traffic so that it can't really affect the play, just kind of crashing it back inside. So there's a lot of reps in this game, and I think that's one of the main takeaways I had from this tape study. He looks very calm quite often. He just kind of sits there and waits for the opponent to do something and reacts to it. And sometimes that leads to some reps that look weird, but he's pretty effective. Next play after that, there's a chop move that's trying to be put on his arms when he's engaged, and I think he did a really good job not being affected by it. Shows his upper body strength, shows his ability to stay stout even through a chop move. There's a bull rush on the next play. It knocks him back, but he recovers to push a wide arc. So you can see the anchor not really getting it done here, but he has the recovery skills and the engagement ability to push the player along a wide arc so he's not directly impacting the play. This is kind of this next play is kind of what I'm talking about when talking about Cabeldue. Seems like he's a little bit passive sometimes in run blocking, like his run block snaps often look like pass sets. It's not ineffective at all, but it's interesting, right? Because there are moments where he looks very aggressive. He looks like the guy who's in there to just take people's heads off, and he's the first guy into contact. But then you have reps like this where he's just kind of hanging back, letting the defender come to him, positioning his body so that the defender can't get to the ball. So it's an interesting dichotomy. We drafted an offensive lineman last year. I can't remember which one it was, but I noted that existed there too. Maybe it was 2 years ago. The Houston guy. I can't remember his name, but I know that there was one guy that I noted had kind of an awkward run blocking methodology. Okay, so a little bit later in the first quarter, next play, he bumps over to right tackle for the first time. I don't know why. I'm going to just say it right now. He plays a good amount of right tackle in this game. I'm not sure why. I know the right tackle they had in most of the game was bad. He had one drive where he completely killed it with like 2 penalties by himself. But I don't know why he kept bumping over to right tackle, but he bumped over for one play, climbs up to the linebacker, and he lays a good block for run, just an example of him being able to climb up. And he does lose engage on that play as it goes on, but he did set up the initial push, so he did his job. You're not going to maintain engagement with your blocks for the entire play when the play goes on for a while. Next play, he pushes through a gap between defensive linemen to get to a linebacker and does a good job guiding him away from the play. There's not a lot of like pancakes on this tape that I saw, but there's a lot of like gently guiding his man away so he cannot affect the play. It's like he's very, even and well-formed, and he's thinking about what he's doing. And it looks good for the most part. Next play, he shows good leverage and leg drive on a goal line run. It was one of the rare times in this game where I thought he did a good job sinking down low to get underneath the pads of his man, and he cleared out the hole for a touchdown run. Next time Kansas gets the ball, they do a run block rep, and it looks like a pass set to me. He's just kind of passive, using positioning rather than just pure raw mauling strength. And what it shows you, because he doesn't do that in every game, but what this shows you is he can do it. And that's good because you're going to have to develop him anyway. So just the fact that he can do it is valuable. Next play, it's a 1v1 on the edge on a pass set. He does a good job repelling the rip move and holding firm. I thought this was a really nice pass set by him. And it does show that even though he won't be able to play tackle in the NFL, he does have some tackle skills that should help him inside. Like, it's not a bad thing. Next play, a little bit more aggressive on a run block with 13 minutes left in the second quarter. He launched forward. He hits with force. It looks more like a traditional run blocking rep. So again, he can do it. He's just sometimes choosing not to because it doesn't suit the situation. Next play, he hits a combo block. Hits a defensive tackle with a teammate to kind of push him back, and then climbs up to the linebacker. And this is a play where he's lined up at right tackle, by the way. So it's one of those plays I love where the guy makes multiple blocks on one play. Looking good, looking sharp. I like it. He does a really good job at generating knockback on both blocks, by the way. So they're not just blocks, they are good blocks. Next play, slides to the right to pick up a defensive tackle and help double team him. And there is a little bit of pushback on him. He does give some ground on a bull rush, but he holds well overall. I don't think he disrupted the play meaningfully. Next play, slides inside to help on the defensive lineman, and because he slid inside, he's late popping out to pick up the blitzing linebacker. It's the one time in this game where I thought he misread what the defense was doing, and he goes inside to double a tackle, and because of that, he's late getting the blitzer. He is barely able to recover in time to guide the linebacker past the quarterback here, so good recovery speed, but the disruption to the play is still felt, and the quarterback gets flushed out because of it. So Now, granted, his quarterback is Jalen Daniels, and flushing out Jalen Daniels is not a terrible thing if you're the offense. That's kind of his game. But regardless, he does disrupt the play, and he's just barely able to prevent the sack. All right, next time Kansas gets the ball, he continues to use positioning well to guide the edge away from runs. It's another one of those things where he doesn't look overly violent. He just kind of looks, he almost looks like a big brother just shoving the guy away from the play without using a lot of force. Next play, picks up a blitzing linebacker immediately. It's very similar to the play I was just talking about, but this time he didn't slide inside to double the tackle. He just immediately slid outside to cleanly pick up the blitzer and keep the quarterback clean. So it was a nice contrast to the previous play. Next play, he climbs up to the linebacker and shoves him out of the hole with arm strength, just straight up upper body power. That's obviously not going to look the same in the NFL because the level of competition is going to be higher, but still good to see. Little bit later, about 6 minutes in the second quarter, he does a great job picking up a twist, and as this game went on, TCU started to twist more and more up front, and I thought he handled it pretty well. Does a good job helping on the edge and then slides to pick up the defensive tackle as the defensive tackle stunts to the outside. So cerebral, smart, aware, high-level recognition of the play and great form to adjust here as well. So that excited me. A couple minutes later, another run block rep where he's passive, but he shows good control near the goal line. Next play after that, his man drops back into coverage, and he looked a little bit confused to me, like he was just kind of standing there looking around trying to find something to do. And it looked a little bit awkward. Like there are players out there that when they don't have something to do, they very aggressively and smoothly go find something to do. That's not what I saw from this play. And the very next play, it was the same thing. He has no one to block, and he looks kind of awkward running around trying to find something productive to do. On this particular one, he looks like he's trying to climb up like he's blocking for a screen, but there's no screen receiver. So it almost, I don't know if it's a busted play. I don't know what's going on here, but it looked like he was climbing up to block, set up for like a shovel pass, but there's no running back to catch a shovel pass. That gets us to the second quarter or second half. Thought he did a good job picking up multiple blocks on this early third quarter rep. He's calm. He blocks one guy and then he slides to pick up the other guy. And he's using angles and body positioning really well in this game, I feel like. There are run plays where he's just kind of standing there, treating it like he's in a pass set, and then he's just redirecting his man away from the play, and he doesn't have to like maul him to do it. Next play, blocks into the side of a linebacker to get drive and clear out the run lane. So good job of utilizing the body positioning of his opponent to easily clear him away from the play. He's more aggressive in a run blocking snap here with about 12-17 left in the third quarter. But you see on this play, he doesn't bend. And he still has a good rep because he's got the strength advantage on the guy he's blocking, but he doesn't get low. He just kind of blocks straight up, and it's concerning because in the NFL that may not fly. In fact, it won't fly. Does a good job guiding an edge rusher on an arc on this next play here, but Jalen Daniels on this play drops 11 to 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So you have Cabeldue leading his man on an arc that should be going behind the quarterback, but instead he leads him right into the quarterback. I don't know if the quarterback was supposed to drop back that far. You don't see a lot of 11-yard dropbacks in the NFL, but it's really hard to blame Cabeldue for that. He doesn't get sacked. He does get pressured and get flushed out and end up, the play ends up getting kind of disrupted, but the play is kind of unfair, man. Like you're asking your quarterback to drop back 11, 12 yards and hold the ball for a long time. And like, what do you think is going to happen when the rusher's trying to get the edge? Next play, I thought his lack of length showed up on a pass set. He gets driven back because the opponent's hands get into his chest. Next play, though, pivots from edge help to picking up defensive tackle twist effectively. Again, more indications that he's cerebral and smart and able to pick up these games that teams will play up front. Next play, he hits a pull block, but he can't quite get ahead of the play enough to block. It's plays like this that make me feel like he's a good athlete, but I don't know if the RAS score that people are talking about is reflective of what we can actually expect here. Like, I kind of feel like this is a play where you see he's athletic, but he's not hyper athletic. Helps on the edge rusher with the left guard. He gets driven back, but he ultimately holds up enough to keep the play alive. Next play, he gets beat by a swim move to the outside on a 3rd and 2 run. He does recover enough to at least get involved in the play, but it was a rare example of him in this game, I thought, getting beat outside. Now, the run goes to the other side of the line anyway, so it's not like he really affected the play, but I did think he got beat. And then we get into the middle of the 3rd quarter, and this is where some of the right tackle stuff really started to hit. He's lining up at right tackle a lot. Again, I don't know why. But he climbs up and whiffs to allow penetration to limit a run to 1. One of the few times where I thought he actually hurt his team. He just goes up to that 2nd level, and he just completely misses on the linebacker, ends up off balance, lunging. Not a very good rep. Next rep, though, at right tackle again. Stalls out rush with punch effectively and neutralizes. I thought it was a nice, clean pass set. And then the play after that, still at right tackle. There's a speed to power blitzer that gets knockback on him, but he's able to keep him at bay. So you see speed to power is probably going to be an issue for him, but he's capable of recovering. A little bit later, he's back at left tackle for one play. Lateral agility, showcased well here, gets out to the linebacker and lead blocks for a run. Throws a really good lead block. It is one of those plays that tells you that he can do that stuff, and it should translate to the NFL. Very next play, though, he's back at right tackle, and I want to stress this. I don't know why they kept moving him back and forth. I don't think it was, like, preordained, but maybe it was. Back to left tackle, he tosses his man to the ground on a draw using raw upper body power, just kind of gets him down. Impressive display of upper body strength. Back to right tackle a little bit later. He lets his man get to his outside shoulder and kind of gets beat, but he subtly holds him at the crucial moment and prevents his quarterback from actually getting sacked, and he saves the play. It's not a hold that's going to get called very often, so it's a savvy move, and I'm going to give him credit for it. And last play of the 3rd quarter here, there's a 3rd down pitch play, and I really liked the aggression he showed being the initiator going into his run block, and the leg drive here to push his man out of the way. So good rep there. That gets us to the 4th quarter. This is where the game got away from Kansas, not necessarily because of anything that Cabeldue did, though. First rep of the 4th quarter, throwing himself into run blocking with force to clear a lane. So we're seeing more run blocking aggression here. Not to say that you always have to be aggressive with your run blocking, but it's good to see that he can do it. Has a clean, balanced pass set on a crucial 3rd down at right tackle. It's just he doesn't let the guy let him overset or underset. He just stays even with him, mirrors well, and he's got tackle skills. He just doesn't have a tackle body, and tackle skills can help even when you're playing on the inside. A little bit later, does his job sliding from a double team to pick up a blitz on 3rd down. Thought he did a nice rep here. Another opportunity for him to show that he is a cerebral player. A little bit later, he shows some torque, and he twists his upper body to kind of just flip a defensive tackle away from the play. So he's not the strongest guy in the world because of his anchor, but he's got that upper body strength to do things like torque a guy out of the way or just shove a guy out of the way or win without leverage. He does do that sometimes. I really like this next rep. Really good mobility here. He was able to climb outside the edge on a pull block and a lead block for a play. It's an example of him being able to move in space comfortably. So it was a great rep to see. Not much happens for the next several minutes for Cabeldue. Less than 3 minutes left. The game's kind of gotten away from them. I thought he looked a little bit clumsy getting to an inside move from the edge rusher, but he did neutralize it ultimately. Just looked a little bit like he wasn't comfortable getting out there, but came together. Next play, another twist game, very well handled by the offensive line, in particular Cabeldue. Picks up the inside rusher like he should, and he does eventually get shed, and the rusher generates an intentional grounding penalty, but the quarterback held onto the ball so long and then scrambled into the pressure that I don't think it's Cabeldue's fault. The only thing Cabeldue could have done to prevent the intentional grounding is to hold his man, and it would have been a pretty obvious hold. 2 minutes, 15 seconds, continue to see head on swivel when dealing with the twist game. Really like that. Does a good job holding resolutely in the face of several attempted pass rusher moves. It's one of those things where the guy's just really trying to set him up with his hands and arms and action and trying to find a way around him. And I thought he did a really good job just not falling for anything and keeping in front of him. Next play, good clean pass set, keeps rusher at bay for several seconds. It was actually a really nice example of neutralizing a rusher. And he does a good job picking up an inside rusher and absorbing momentum on one of the final plays of the game. And Kansas would go on to lose anyway, but Cabeldue played very well, and you can see some of the appeal here. There is reason to believe that once he slides into guard, a lot of the problems he has will go away, and a lot of the good things he can do will be allowed to flourish. It's just going to take a while. All right, so that's Cabeldue for me. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, we've got a few more rookies to go. I'm going to do some UDFAs, but we are near the bottom, so let's hear it, and go Hawks.